Welcome to Backyards and Bevvies. Grab your favorite bevy, pull up a chair, and enjoy the ride. Hey, B&B fam. This podcast is sponsored to you by BetterHelp, H-E-L-P. Is there something getting in the way of your happiness? I know when I traveled the world, I had many days where BetterHelp's worldwide service of licensed professional therapists could have helped me speak to someone no matter where I was in the world about whatever was happening with my life, and with zero judgment. With their ability to match me with a therapist that best fits me, I know my mental health would have been way better back then. Believe me, I needed it. But I'm here to share a way for you to take back control of your mental health by telling you about BetterHelp's awesome services they have for you to talk with a pro about your life through their app or just online. Whether it is a video session or some simple messaging, their team is here to help. I went to check out the app for myself just to see how easy it was to use, and after a series of questions, I was told I would be able to start matching with a therapist in under 48 hours. And what is super rad is that it's affordable and they even offer financial aid too. So come join the 2 million users that have already been helped and gain back control of your mental health by visiting betterhelp.com/backyards for 10% off your first month. Remember, BetterHelp is therapy done securely online. Don't forget to use the special code BACKYARDS and let BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, help you to start living a happier life today. And we're live. We're
Hi.
here in the backyard. Welcome to Backyards and Beverages.
And beverages.
Sometimes I think we should change the name.
No.
I mean, I love the name, but I also, I don't know. I think we could name it like
no.
No?
No.
Okay.
It's good the way
What am I talking
Backyards and
about?
Bevvies
I
is
like
great.
it.
You're
It's cool.
crazy. It's a brand.
It is. You know what? Honestly, I would love to one day open I have always had this trailer park version of a bar.
Oh no, here we go.
I think it'll work. You get those shipping containers.
I think you've talked about it on the show before.
Have I?
Yeah.
No, I don't think on the show. I told you about it. But real quick, 3
Okay.
shipping containers. Each one is a different themed house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's the frat house in a way. Like there's a sports on in that one. Then there's the chill,
beachy vibe one.
beachy vibe where you go and you just chill.
Bunch of sand out front.
Yeah, there's no grass in the backyard. Like at the frat one, there'd be broken lawn chairs and shit like that. And then
Terrible.
the dad.
Some fraternities have nice things.
Yeah, okay. And then the dad one where the grass is, you just get the fake turf, so it's always cut perfect. There's a grill in the back. You get hot dogs at that one.
There you go.
The frat one sells tall
Fanny
boys.
packs and New Balances encouraged.
Yeah, exactly.
It has a dress code to get in.
IPAs
You have to be
and
in
everything.
in your dad bod to get in there.
Yeah, that's where you buy and you could go between any of them, but to get in, it's one door, but then it's 3 different bars.
3 different bars. That'd be fun.
Right?
Maybe one day.
Whiskey and bourbon and IPAs at the dad one, and then there'd be shooters, Rumplemans.
Jello shots.
Yeah,
at the frat one.
Yeah, girls squirting people with tequila out of super soakers. And then the middle one's just chill. You get champagne and wine there.
Oh, I mean, if it's a beachy vibe, it's pina coladas and margaritas.
Oh, yeah,
and
I did say beachy.
Coronas and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be fun.
Good times.
Good times.
Tequila with pineapple chasers.
I think the funnest part about life sometimes is just coming up with wild ideas like that and thinking about them. And you don't want to spend too much of your day, but the process of that is a lot, And I think now that I have left one job and now I'm doing, basically 2, stay-at-home dad and then writing. My world has actually opened up, I feel like. It's not as closed off, oh, well, I'm too busy doing this other thing.
To really stretch my legs and do something.
Now, I haven't taken on any of these wild adventures, but my mind can travel a little bit more.
You have a vivid imagination.
Oh my gosh.
We have said that before.
Well, and that's what I think has been the key to writing this fiction novel is my imagination is wild. And I can keep track of things, which I think is the other hard part. It didn't come like right away. I think it's been a lot of work, a lot of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And this morning, or was it last night, we were sitting on the couch and we were just chilling before bed. And I was looking through old pictures, the kids and you and me, and I stumbled across this one, and I didn't say anything to you last night, but I brought it up this morning over breakfast, and you're like, oh my gosh, I see that same picture every day, and it's the success isn't owned, it's rented, and you have to earn it.
The rent is due.
And the rent is due every day.
It's one of my favorite quotes.
And I saw it last night, and it went into the brain, like most things do, and it bounced around a million different places. And this morning during the workout, it was still on my mind. And so I thought that today would be a really cool way to describe it in my new view of how I thought about it during my workout. And I've always like questioned it because it's a really good quote, but like it's kind of silly in a way too. It's like, oh, well, it's due every day. Well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, all right, like
to pay the rent. What are you doing?
Exactly. And sure, you could answer it in a very simplistic way. Well, I go to work. Okay, that's. Why does everything have to be so simple? Like, let's deep dive into something that's like really, like, let's grow some legs and run, right? And so this morning during my workout, I started thinking, well, what does it mean to me that rent's due? Well, what happens if you don't pay your rent? You get evicted, right? Or you get a hit on your credit score. A multitude of things can happen to you, and it's all bad, right? So I started thinking, like, well, I've heard that funny, like the funny conversation, like in conspiracy theory. One of my, you know me and conspiracy theories, I love them.
Yes, you do.
And one of them is that they're trying to create like a social number for you, right? Like you have like a credit score.
Your clout number.
Yeah, like I think they're doing it in China in a way. Like if you've been if you're
like socially responsible and things like that, then you get like more points versus.
Yeah, I think like, oh, you went to school, you graduated high school, you get 10 points.
Yep.
And people can look at that, like employers can look at it, I feel like, and I don't really know all the details, so I'm not even going to attempt, but I've heard the rumors, let's say. So, okay, well, fine. That's what my mind went to this morning. The quote and a social number. Like, all right, crazy. What if you, though, just internally, like, so I started thinking about myself. All right, like, what if I personally held myself to a number? Like, what if I started, like, let's just say, like, I had a bad start to life and I didn't finish high school, or I didn't really finish college. You
did. You went to Full Sail.
Yeah, but I never, like, went, like, to giant college. I dropped out of I know that. It doesn't matter. But my point is, like, maybe my credit score that I started with when I got to this riding adventure and the kid adventure and this whole pandemic adventure, maybe I was in like a mid-5s.
Your personal credit score.
Yeah, my personal credit score.
Like not your actual credit score, but like how you would rate yourself.
I got great credit.
You do. But how you would rate yourself, basically. I started
with really bad credit. And so that's why I kind of got in my brain, like, what if I took a deep look at myself and I rated my own self in a credit score type fashion. And it kind of hit me. I was like, well, this is kind of that quote, the rent quote. Like, the only way to get my personal social number inside myself up would be to show up daily and do the things and the tasks and whatever's at hand, try to do them to the best of my ability. Maybe it is like a random arbitrary number, like 1 through 10, and you have 4 items every day. Did you hit all 4 items? And if you did, at what level did you hit them? And then you start leveling those ideas and you're like, okay, well, did I utilize my time well? Score yourself. And I'm not saying that you have to do this, but it just started really, like, the quote has always been in my mind. So, like, how do I personally use this quote daily now? Because I want to write it on a board. I want to write it on a piece of paper and slap it on my computer screen, because each day when I go to write, some days I'm like, man, I did write, but did I really give it what I should have? Or was I distracted?
Were you just not into it that day? Like,
why wasn't I into it though? Have I not shown up from the start of the day? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, what if I didn't work out this morning? Bless you. Bless you.
Excuse me. Thank you. Allergies coming in hot. We're outside.
We are.
Welcome to spring in Tennessee. Everything is beautiful and green and covered in pollen.
Birds.
I digress.
Chirping. It's okay.
Whew.
Woof.
So, anyways.
Okay, but like let's dive into that for a second. All right, time. Did I use my time wisely from the time I got up to where I am writing? Because I think that plays into like how someone goes to work. Like, well, if you woke up late, you're already rushed, right?
Right.
So your time's
Stressed
already
out.
Yeah, you're already in a bad mood, let's just say. Or not maybe bad mood, but you're already in
You're off.
a non-pleasant mood because you're off. You're now have to rush you might miss breakfast now. You might might miss your kids, going to the bus stop because you put the wrong pants on them or whatever, like your day is already off. So you could score yourself. Well, did I use my time wisely? No, I woke up late. So right away, your score's down a little bit. Now, I think that there's, we could really, really get into this where, you have negatives and all this stuff, and adding and all that, but that's not the point. The point is just, I really am trying to put it in my brain. How can I be better at just writing?
Yeah.
Because that's my goal right now, is really to become a good overall author. Well, I want to be an author. I'm not an author yet because I'm not published.
Right.
And so...
But that's the goal, is to be a published author.
Yeah, that's my goal. And how do I do that? How do I achieve that? Well, I have to use my time wisely. I have to utilize learning inside of that time while also being a dad, while also watching 2 kids and changing diapers. And they're both going to be mobile soon. Yeah, so when I'm on my phone in those little bursts of time, if I'm not, like there's no way that I'm just reading dictionaries and that's just boring. But if I'm not looking at something that's going to benefit me, well, then I'm just digressing in a way. So maybe if I am on my phone and I am on the web, well, let me look at something that's at least positive or engaging,
steer you in the right direction.
Well, or engaging my vocabulary. Because I watched a video, or the other part too is watching things that will engage my imagination.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And I think that is the bigger one than all of it, because like anything nowadays, technology is such a giant help. I don't have to be the best speller.
Right.
It helps during writing when I'm not like LLD, and just randomly hitting words trying to think that autocorrect is going to get it. It's one thing for autocorrect.
Yeah, it helps. It can't catch everything.
No, and so, like as long as you're in the ballgame, cool, whatever. So to me, though, the bigger side is that imagination. Am I listening to stories that are just someone gossiping about another person, or am I really diving into like a cool news story or like a news article or something that's happened in the past with someone? Like those are the ones that really get me, because I mentioned to you I spent like 12 or 16 minutes the other day watching some video, and I was like, man, I felt like I wasted my time. But then at the end of it, I learned a really cool thing about criminal prosecution, like how the defense will play on the emotions of jurors. And how all you need is one juror that's a holdout. Yeah, exactly. And so though at that moment I got off the phone, I was like, oh man, I just wasted like 16 minutes of my time. I could have been writing. But it was inspiring to your writing. But it was inspiring, so it wasn't a waste of time. Yeah, exactly. And so felt like it at first until you started to think about it, and you were like, well, even though sure I could have been like typing away, writing about something, who knows if what you would have written would have been any good. Exactly. And now you learned something that actually pertains to what you're writing about. Yeah. So now you can write something better than what you would have if you hadn't seen that piece of information. Exactly. So boom, I upped my credit score right there. There you go. Went up a whole 10 points. I wouldn't say 10 points. And then that's the fun part too. When I was thinking about this, I was like, how would I even scale, like put it on a scale? Like 1 through 10's a giant leap, right? Maybe it should just be a 4-star, like a restaurant. Yeah. Like, did you do good? Was it average, above average, or fantastic? Excellent, yeah. Like something as simple as that, I think is a real easy, more realistic way to judge what you've done in the day than it is to sit there and be like, well, that was like a 2.5, 3.5. I kind of use my time wisely.
Yeah, kind of. Could have done better. And it's hard too because, there's so much that goes on in a day. Like if I'm thinking about like my day at work, sometimes in the morning, if like I haven't slept well the night before or something like that, even if I'm in a great mood and like things are running smoothly and stuff like that, sometimes it just takes a minute to really like get into that work mode.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to force yourself like, okay, you may not be ready for this, but like, if you don't get started now, it's going to throw off the rest of your day because you have this many calls and meetings and you've only got this much time to dedicate to email or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you that there's something to be said for not only budgeting your time wisely and stuff like that, but really analyzing what it is that you're focusing on and is it benefiting your overall plan or is it detracting from it? Even if it's not, it's not necessarily something like harmful in any way, but if it's not adding to your overall goal, then is it really something you should be focusing on?
Yeah, and I think the goal part is the interesting one because the self-motivating for a goal is hard. But if you had a number attached to you, you would self-motivate really quick.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, shit, I got to get on this.
That's why they do grades and stuff in general.
Yeah, but
it forces you to stay on task.
Yeah, but as you get out of grades and all those things, I mean, the only way that you can hit a goal is by really focusing and budgeting all the things you do. And it's all the things you do. And that's why it's so funny to read that quote and then read it in a simple way. And you're like, well, I showed up today. Yes, you walked through the door.
Yeah, good job. But did you actually show up?
But if you were turning in rent to your landlord and you just showed up to him and had a check, but nothing was written on it, like that doesn't do you any good. You still have to go through the process of doing something and like physically handing over money. Money is time. Time is money, so it goes hand in hand. And so though it's a simple quote and it's a simple way and you can look at it simple, it is deep. I don't know, there's something deep to be said about going through a goal and finishing it and then looking into the next one, or even looking at your day. Like, I'm such a day person, I guess. Like, sure, I have goals now and I have achievements that I want to hit, but I really have to get through today.
Yeah, very true.
I really just have to get through today. And sometimes it's like, I just have to get through this hour.
Yeah.
Because
true.
if I can get through this hour, then next hour I can start this, but I can't finish this hour, or I can't get to this until I finish this hour. So there's no even point in worrying about this hour.
Right.
Worry about what's in front of me right now. Let me get my score up. Like, it's a video game, right?
Yeah, true.
Like,
you're trying to level up.
Yeah, there's your other scoring system. That's why I think video games are when you look at life and you hold yourself to something. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm gonna make it a thing. The credit score.
I like it.
The human credit score.
I like it. The human credit score.
Now, and it's like you can't show up to a job and be like, well, here's my personal
human credit score is 1,000.
They'd laugh at you.
Yeah, they'd be like, well, that's not a thing. So take your craziness elsewhere.
And I don't think that I would ever want the government to really have a human credit score on
definitely
anyone,
not. But it's a great way, and we've talked about this on a couple of different episodes. It's a great way to improve your personal accountability.
Accountability, yeah.
100%.
It is. I used to think that I could be held accountable on a lot of things. And it is simple to say, like, oh, I got this. I'm going to do this. It's not. And I can at least say it from my honest perspective of trying to do things in the past versus the way I do things now. There's such a system to it. You really have to be willing to write things down.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to schedule things. You really have to look at each day inside of there and say, where's the best time for me to do this too?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I really wanted to write, like in the mornings, I would have to do so many different things to make that happen.
Yeah.
So even doing things just because you want to do it then might not be the right appropriate time.
Right.
You know, you might have to force yourself at times to do things that are uncomfortable, but then that's where those scores, I feel like that's where like the personal value inside of myself goes up because I'm like, okay, I didn't want to do it now, but I did it and I really actually crushed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to like, but yeah, that person always works out at 7 and look at them, they have a 6-pack. Yeah, but you didn't see what they did to be able to work out at 7.
Right.
Maybe they shifted their entire life around.
Right.
So I think too, by judging others' credit scores,
yeah,
leaves you for more failure because you really have to judge yourself. You're the only person.
You can't be comparing yourself to others.
Yeah.
You just have to compare yourself to the best version of yourself.
Yeah. And so like with writing right now, I've thought about reading fiction stuff right now. And although I want to, every time I go to pick up a fiction book, like I just finished Crime and Punishment not too long ago, it was really good to read, but it didn't benefit me.
Yeah.
Like, it was good to see how he wrote. I picked up some things about his style of writing that I really enjoyed, but the story didn't generate, it didn't help my imagination, in other words.
Yeah.
And so I think from now until the time I'm a published author, which hopefully is, in the next year, I'm going to stick to not self-help books, but motivational books.
Yeah.
I think that they're just easy because I can read 10 pages and not pick it up for another few days because I'm busy writing, and then pick it right back up and be like, oh yeah, that's where that left off.
Right.
Yeah, it's very analytical and very like to the point. But when you get lost into a story, or when you get locked into a story and then you like get away from it, you're like, where was I?
Yeah.
So there's another example of me using my time wisely. It's not, you hear like these like self-help gurus and all these guys and they're like, or girls, and they tell you to read 10 pages a day. It's like, well, I read 10 pages of my book today.
Right, there you go.
Does that count?
Exactly.
So there is something said about reading and about utilizing your brain and picking up on information. But it doesn't benefit me personally to go and read someone else's book every day, 10 pages.
Right.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not a fast reader. So to keep my credit score up and myself, I just have to choose. Like, is today, like if I'm traveling, of course, that's easy.
Sure.
Sit on a plane.
Plenty of time to
pick
read.
up a book.
Yeah.
Read, drink, whatever. Sitting at home, no, not so much.
Yeah, not so much.
So you have to, I think that those things though are the things that I look at in my day. And I don't know. I think it's fun to share this info with people because 3 years ago, I would have never been able to tell someone I could barely better myself, I think.
Right. Right.
So
you have to lead by example.
I had good thoughts back in the day. I think I had good intentions, but I don't think I was practicing them.
Right.
So it's way easier for me now to look at this and to sit at this microphone and share stories of this and come up with crazy ideas like a bar with 3 different themes inside of it. And I mean, it's not unheard of. There's a lot of bars with 3 themes inside of them.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also wild to think like, well, what if we did have a credit score? Like, what if I had to present my credit score to someone tomorrow? And they looked at it and they're like, oh, you're a 4?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're looking for 5s and higher. And you're like, yeah, but I'm like right there. They're like, yeah, but
you're not.
I mean, maybe next week.
Yeah, keep trying to improve.
It's the same with like a car. You go to buy a car or a house. What is the first thing they ask you? What's your credit score?
Yep.
And it's not a rude question. It's not like they're trying to make you feel bad. They're looking out for their best interest. So like,
well, the funny thing, I think, if you really break down what a credit score is, like a true credit score, like you would need to buy a house or a car or whatever, it's almost a measurement of your trustworthiness.
In a way, yeah.
Have you been paying your bills on time?
Yeah.
Are you responsible and trustworthy with your money?
True. Yeah. I mean, it really
So
is.
it sort of is a measure of your character in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, you're
I haven't really thought of that until just now, but yeah, if you've got an excellent credit score, it's not because you make millions and millions of dollars and that's all there is to it. No, you have an excellent credit score because you are trustworthy and responsible with your finances and how you are utilizing them.
When one of the biggest things with the credit score, I think, in the real credit score is time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just open one credit card and have an automatic 900 over 1 year.
Yeah, it's a measurement of your trustworthiness over time.
But then you have to give more. You have to actually have more credit open. Yep. It's a weird thing. Like I'm still kind of baffled that I was thinking about it this morning, and not like, oh my gosh, I'm such a genius in the way I'm thinking. It's just taken. It's in my brain now. So I'm like, man, that is what a wild thought to have, though.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of a real thing. Yeah. We just actually attach it to money, though.
Right.
Only.
Versus everything else.
But what if, what if you really had to present your credit score to someone and be like, yeah, so I'm a high 9. They're like, awesome.
Great.
God, this is going to be an
You're
amazing
in,
day.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, come on in.
Come on.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah.
Yeah, you imagine if you couldn't even get into a party without a high 6. Yeah, but all my friends are in there. They're like, well, there's a lot of people's friends in there.
Yeah, you didn't work hard enough.
That's a famous line from Wayne's World.
Oh, is it?
He's like, my girlfriend's in there. He's like, there's a lot of people's girlfriends in there.
Oh, gosh. You would quote Wayne's World.
Oh. So this was a fun thought and a fun conversation to bring up. And I think that things like this, though, are beneficial for people to talk about. I think you and me and even my close circle of friends, a lot of the things we talk about are nowadays, or at least are, how do we spend the next 60 years of our lives utilizing time as best as possible? How do we get rid of all the junk that just clutters up our lives and really dive into building up our credit score? Because again, like a normal credit score, there sometimes shit happens, and maybe your business just, you had a great idea and then over time it just took a tank and you ended up not pulling out in the right amount of time, and you had to hit bankruptcy and you had to do all the bad things, and of course your credit score drops, but that doesn't mean that over time you can't build it back up.
Absolutely.
So it's the same thing. It's like, so be it. You had a bad couple of years, you took the wrong turn, you got into something that you shouldn't have. Doesn't mean
never too late to make a change.
Too late. And to think that, I'm only 40, there's no help for me. That's why there's all these credit programs out there to help people, help you pay off your debt sooner, and help you build up your credit faster.
Yeah.
Those are real things. And that's why I think it's so awesome when people utilize their time and their efforts to growing friendships too, because friends help friends. It's like you help me every time that I have a bad day, and I always feel like every time we go through something, I write better, or I'm a better example to the kids the next day. And it is because I went through something hard, or I just was in a bad mood that day. So I think picking your own personal credit score up is something that,
it's not a bad idea.
It's okay to ask your buddy who has really good credit, hey man, how'd you get there?
Yeah, help me.
Hey, did you use one of those the people credit score building things?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called a gym.
Yeah.
It's called eating healthier.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody enjoyed this episode, and I hope over the next few episodes, I think BK and I were talking about, we really want to engage how, Berkeley's my manager, my wife, I'm not just PK, I'm Philip to her, I'm so many different things, and our days are spent in so many various talks and so many different our conversations are so deep and then so funny sometimes, and we're constantly in and out of how do we grow what we're growing
Mhm.
together. And I think that what we're trying to do this year is, like, we used to have a bunch of guests on and we used to bring in all this other stuff, and maybe we will later on, but I think what we're really trying to do is just show our process right now of we're going through something. We're not just like telling you we went through it and this is how we did it. Like,
They're on the journey with us.
This is trial and error as we speak, and we're growing a family. We're growing our extended families. We're trying to utilize land and space and friendships and all the things. We're trying to bring it all together. So not only are we successful monetarily, but we're successful in a loving way, and we're successful in a faithful way, and we're successful in all the things that make us up. And so, we appreciate every time that someone listens to us once or twice or 1,000 times. Well, we're not on 1,000 shows yet.
Not yet.
But we're hoping that things like this maybe aren't something that you like are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go start my own credit score in my brain. But it's something that, like I was talking earlier about, you read something or you hear something and it engages your own imagination. I think that's the bigger picture. Like, I don't want to sell classes. Like, I don't want to come up with that stuff. But hopefully these crazy conversations that we put online spark your own personal imagination to go, oh, I'm going to do this. Or, I've always wanted to, blah, blah, blah. So.
I like it.
It's getting windy.
It is. It's actually going to storm. We're going to need to pack up.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Nope. Maybe we are.
Our cat's about to break through this window. He is mad. He
Unhappy cat.
Like
Let me outside.
A tiger.
He is a little tiger. He's been meowing the whole time. He's going to barf. All right, everybody.
Puke.
Thanks for listening.
Puke.
No
Puke.
puke. No puke.
Okay.
Have a wonderful week.
Cheers.
We'll talk to you
Bottoms up.
soon.
Thank you so much for listening to us. We love y'all. Have a wonderful, safe, blessed week.
Woo.
Cheers.
Bye.